Hello, I'm Cameron Walker and this is GBN Royal and welcome to Inside the Palace. First up, the Princess of Wales appeared to temporarily drop her royal status to become a primary school helper for the day, joining a group of children on a minibus to the National Portrait Gallery. I understand the executive minibus ride was organised and paid for by Kensington Palace, but many of the children on the bus had absolutely no idea who the princess actually was. They were far more interested, understandably perhaps, in the fun activities on offer rather than their VIP helper. On Tuesday, Catherine helped guide 4- and 5-year-olds around a new interactive trail which aims to help with their social and emotional development. It's based off a new framework which the Princess launched on Sunday, aimed at increasing awareness of Britain's social and emotional skills. The free trail opens for 6 weeks to family and school groups and is the first project actually associated with Her Royal Highness's initiative to persuade society, in her words, to prioritise early childhood development. Now, research has found that a decent early upbringing is crucial to improve a child's life chances, making addiction or poor mental health, for example, less likely. Now, during the trail, the children were encouraged to look at the portraits hanging in the gallery and identify their emotions through their facial expressions. They also had a go at drawing their own self-portraits. Now, I understand the Princess has been working behind the scenes on her early childhood initiative for a number of months, and the new Shaping Us framework is expected to be used by other organisations across the UK. Catherine's long-term ambition is to change the way society prioritises the early years, but this is clearly a very big challenge. Her Royal Highness cannot shape government policy in her role, but her public profile can highlight issues which would otherwise be overlooked. Next up, on Thursday, I spent the afternoon on a muddy farm in Angus with Prince William, who is known as the Duke of Rothesay in Scotland. Now, East Skye Farm, near Dundee, produces around 800 tonnes of strawberries each year to sell to the UK's major supermarkets. And Prince William sacrificed the cleanliness of his suede lace-up boots. Thankfully, my leather ones did wipe clean, but they also got very muddy. Anyway, he did that to inspect for damage caused to the polytunnels by the recent storm. And repairs will cost around £200,000, which is uninsurable according to one farmer I spoke to, and that's because insurance companies paid out a huge sum of money because of a previous storm in 2012 with similar damage. Now, this highlighted the unpredictability farmers face on a daily basis, and it's an industry which already is reeling from the effects of the recent budget. 55% of East Skye Farm's production costs is on labour, so the rise in employer national insurance contributions means the farm is taking an even greater hit. Now, a government spokesperson previously, speaking in generalities here, they said that we had to take difficult decisions in the budget to restore economic stability and clear the path for growth as part of our plan for change. As part of this, we are providing the certainty businesses need to be capping corporation tax for the duration of Parliament and locking in permanent full expensing to boost investment. Now, staying politically neutral, Prince William focused on spotlighting an issue that often goes unseen, and that is rural mental health and isolation. And they were topics that the Prince discussed with a round table of young farmers supported by Yellow Wellies, which is a UK-wide charity addressing attitudes and behaviours to farm safety and poor mental health in the next generation of farmers who are under the age of 40. And here is what the Prince told the group.
So we've got some members of the local Young Farmers Clubs. We have the national chair of the Scottish Association of Young Farmers Clubs, and we're basically having this round table to talk about the issue of rural isolation and tackling loneliness. And I know that's something that you're really interested in. Can you tell us why you're interested in these issues?
Some of you may know, some of you not. Mental health is a particular thing I care about. Young male mental health particularly, although not exclusively. And I love the countryside and I love farming as well, and conscious that it's an area that needs a little bit of maybe support in understanding that there's access and support out there for young farmers and or farmers, any age farmers. As well as making sure that we are breaking down any taboos and stigmas around mental health. Because I think in the farming world, it's maybe not talked about as much in other sectors, and yet we know it exists. Isolation and mental health is all there. And so particularly wanted to hear a little bit today about how all of you felt and fared, and hear it from the horse's mouth really, as to whether we're getting better at talking about it, whether you feel the support is out there, what your recollections and feelings are around rural isolation, mental health, things like that.
Now, I understand that rural mental health is something Prince William wants to challenge more and more, and since acquiring the stewardship of the Duchy of Cornwall, he has launched a mental health strategy for duchy tenants, designed, and I quote, to prioritise farmers' mental health and destigmatise the issue within the agricultural sector. Now, I'm a little bit jealous of this one because it involves Italian food and some very nice wine, and that is because King Charles continues his own slow food philosophy at Highgrove during a special black tie dinner before the upcoming state visit to Italy in April. In a speech heard by guests including the Hollywood actor Stanley Tucci and Italy's ambassador to the UK, Inigo Lambertini, His Majesty said this.
Propose a toast to Italy's timeless food culture, so loved here in the United Kingdom and across the world.
His Majesty the King speaking at the special black tie dinner yesterday, and the food and drinks menu, some of which was grown in the King's own garden, was created using entirely British ingredients, blended with Italian culinary traditions and local flavours. Buckingham Palace said the menu aims to fully embody the principles of slow food. Now, the slow food movement began in 1986, following nationwide protests in Italy over a McDonald's fast food chain being placed in Rome's iconic Piazza di Spagna. It promotes the right to good, clean and fair food for all and strives to preserve traditional and regional cuisine. The King and Queen met at the reception before the dinner, King's Foundation students, and were shown clothes made using heritage skills, which is a big plus for King Charles because the garments aim to be more sustainable because it's hoped people will buy fewer, higher quality items which last for longer. So doing away with fast fashion. And I suspect, however, these clothes are far more expensive because they are made using a lot more time-intensive processes. And of course, in a cost of living crisis, many citizens just simply are not going to be able to afford or will go for a much cheaper option. And finally, King Charles certainly knows his military regiments, something the Polish Social and Cultural Association soon discovered when they guided His Majesty around their new art exhibition on Wednesday. Works by the late Polish Jewish artist Felix Fabian were on display in the gallery of Europe's largest Polish community centre, including a portrait of the lifeguards. Now, I was actually in the room covering His Majesty's engagement on behalf of the UK broadcasters when I heard him make the correction, and he said, "I'm afraid they're not the Coldstream Guards, they're the lifeguards." Take a listen.
I'm afraid they're not the Coldstream Guards, they're the lifeguards.
King Charles was pointing out the incorrect label below the painting, which read Coldstream Guards. Ever the polite gentleman, however, His Majesty, as you just saw, laughed it off and took it all in very good spirits. Now, shortly after, the King made his way upstairs for a reception with the Polish community, making a point of shaking hands with as many people as possible. He spent time reconnecting with Second World War veteran Edmund Niedzielski, who is 102 years old, and he told me that he reminded His Majesty how he fought on the beaches of Normandy, and remarked how good the King's memory was. Take a listen.
He said to me, "I remember you." So he's got a very good memories as well, as I do.
Outside, it was a white fluffy Pomeranian dog named Prudence who got the biggest laugh though, because during a walkabout with members of the public, he joked with the dog owner, "You've just had it shampooed."
We just had it shampooed.
The King's wife, Queen Camilla, also owns a dog, a rescue Jack Russell called Bluebell, who she adopted from the Battersea Dogs and Cats home. And Her Majesty was left heartbroken when her other beloved dog, Beth, was put to sleep in November last year. But is Queen Camilla about to adopt another dog from Battersea Dogs and Cats home? Well, let's wait and see. Watch this space. Thank you for watching. This has been Cameron Walker. Don't forget to subscribe to GB News YouTube for more.